Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Okay, so in the last couple of minutes here, as we come up on the end of this, and we could certainly talk a lot more about specifics, but we're sort of almost out of time, is sort of forward-looking discussion about what we think is going to happen. Do either of you foresee any change at all for the better in the coming 12 to 24 months? Is there anything on the horizon that's going to improve the state of review spam on Google or generally on the internet?
I'm probably more hopeful than Mike might be. I'm hoping that this new rule, once upon acted, is immediately enforced. And that being said, I can't go into all the specifics, but let's just say there's plenty of data available for the regulators who are going into enforcement for this new rule. And we're hoping that all the new lawyers that the FTC recently hired within the Department of False Advertising are put to use and are going after these offenders that this new law will cover.
My sense of it and my opinion on it is Curtis Guest is somewhat less sanguine. The problem with FTC is a lack of resources and the widespread nature of the problem. So unless the states sort of buy into this and throw in some, legal assistance, it's unlikely to have incredibly far-reaching impact. It may be enough to slow it down in the United States. I have some hope. So, I'm a realist about this. It may work, it may not. I'm hoping that Curtis is right. In terms of Google, I think their new algorithm, which is AI-based, is much more sophisticated than it used to be. It looks at not just the content of the review, but the metadata of the review. It looks at the reviewer and their history, their associations, looks at the metadata of that reviewer, and it looks at the business. And hopefully that more sophisticated AI can ultimately be tuned to accurately identify fake reviews more consistently. And I think it has gotten better. Is it good enough? Absolutely not. So if you have faith in AI and Google's willingness to take the time to train the AI, there may be something hopeful in that, maybe.
And I would add that the Digital Services Act in Europe, which is an anti-fraud, anti-counterfeiting regulation that is now in effect, is starting to have an impact on Google and other companies in Europe. And we're seeing some of the fruits of that in the United States. And so it's not, the DSA is a content moderation regulation, and it touches review fraud. And I think that there may be some activity over there that will help in the United States. And I think Google's new algorithm is partly a response to these rules that they're now having to comply with in Europe. So I'm hopeful that even though we don't have these rules in the United States because of Section 230 and other issues that we've talked about, that we're going to get the benefit of some of the European regulation if these companies are penalized or called out for too much spam, fraud, etc. But we'll see.
And certainly in terms of appeals, we've seen so many more forms come out from Google and better workflows for dealing with them that are directly a result of DSA, that it provides businesses and consumers more options, for sure.
Yes, and one very concrete example of what I'm saying is in the unrelated case of the iPhone 15 USB-C charging port. Almost nobody talked about the fact that the Europeans mandated that, and that's why Apple's doing it. Apple's not doing it because suddenly the light bulb went off or this is more convenient for users. They're doing it because they're forced to by rules in Europe. But anyway, so I want to give you guys a sort of a final minute to say any final thoughts or any recommendations or advice for people out there listening to this about things they can do, how to survive this kind of onslaught of spam. Any words of wisdom of any kind?
The only parting advice that I have is if you're serious about review fraud, it's that this the key is consistency, right? Not just giving up after submitting it once. And smaller, more regular attempts to get this stuff off is what I find best, and sticking with it, staying motivated to go after it. And I always enjoy telling people to focus on their providing a positive experience, and you won't have to worry about all this stuff. Just focus on doing a good job, and the rest of this stuff just comes so easily. So that's all I have for you.
So that's good advice for the business. I would advise the consumer to actually read the negative reviews and assess them. We, in our research, as you pointed out, see that they very rarely do that. They think reviews are important. They view them as a mnemonic and as a quick way of picking out the winners. But I think that once they've done that, they should then dig in a little bit and look at the negative reviews, see if they can live with the negatives, see if the reviews seem truthful to them, and take a little more time. If they're going to give them that much faith to reviews, realize that there's a lot of cheating going on and they need to be more skeptical.
Read the 2-star and 1-star reviews.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Curtis, for taking time out to talk to us. I think, keep up the good fight. There's a lot of work to be done in this area, and we'll obviously, this isn't the last we'll be hearing from you.
Wonderful.
And
Thank
so
you, guys.
everybody. Yeah. So everybody, thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the podcast and the Near Media newsletter, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.